Today is a pretty cool day and we are at the market. Good morning foodies, we are at Marché Enfant Rouge, which is a pretty popular market in Paris. It's surprisingly a relatively small market, like in a mini enclosed area like a square. And you've got people selling vegetables, fruits, cheese, and there are also some stalls selling cooked food. Now, I'm not sure if it's because of the weekdays, because some of the stalls are not open, so it's a little bit less exciting than I was expecting. I did speak to one of the stall owners and the lady told me that in the weekends it tends to get merrier. Anyway, not to worry, we are not here for the market mainly, we are here for a specific stall that sells very nice sandwiches. So let's go. Guys, this is the spot that I'm talking about. Chez Ellen Miam Miam. And they serve some really delicious sandwiches. If you just take a look behind me, you will see Chef Ellen himself together with his staff. They are busy preparing the ingredients. I think they are preparing for lunchtime. And you can see them slicing the ham, cooking up I think some onions, pouring into the container. And that smell of the cooked onions, the sweetness permeates the air. So I'm super pumped and also very hungry right now. Without further ado, let us make that order first before the lunch crowd hits. Thank you.
Bon appétit.
Okay guys, the sandwich is ready and we got the big one, it's called the Big Miam Miam, and it's basically a piece of Harvey bread sliced, and inside we took all the vegetables. They are like coffee onions, lettuce, avocado, everything, and the cheese is Cantal cheese. It's a very nice, moderately pungent but sweet cheese. And for the ham, we chose a cured beef ham. So without further ado, let me quickly take a bite of this thing because it looks so hearty and you can really tell this is going to be a messy affair. Look at the oil on the sides of this sandwich. So let's go. Oh, the texture of the bread, this is toasted. So on the surface you get this really nice crisp texture, the toasted texture. And the flavors, you start with some saltiness from the ham, and then you get a little bit of sweetness. I'm not sure where the sweetness came from. I'm guessing it's probably from the cheese. There's a little bit of sweetness. It's like a very fleeting moment of sweetness. Let me take another quick bite. Now, you get a freshness of vegetables, the crunching of vegetables. The cheese is melty. Oh, and got a little bit of bitterness on the surface of the bread there because of the toast. It's almost like a bag of wonders. Every single bite, you get a different taste of a different ingredient. So, you take a bite, you get a vegetable. You take a bite, you get the umami from the mushroom, the sweetness from onions, saltiness from the beef ham. It's a very messy dish. You can really see that, you know, my hands are getting a little bit oily, but very hearty. Oh, that feeling gets to me every time. And the onion is just so sweet. I love the onion. I love mushrooms. Oh. You could even taste the flavor of the bread now. The fragrance of the bread. You know, it starts off, because the first bite I got too much of that ham. So it's also like really salty. And you're like, it's not, you know, the best. But as you bite in and in, then you get all the flavors and they come together. Then you are like, yup, very good sandwich. The ingredients are definitely fresh. That's why all the flavors are very present. And this is, I think, one of the key traits of food in Paris in general, is the ingredients. They are really good and really fresh. I like this very much. Recommend it. Thank you, chef. It was very delicious.
Done.
Merci.
Thank you.
Good movie.
Thank you.
Nice.
Jimmy. Thank you.
Okay guys, out from the crowd, now we are headed off to our next stop. We're going to visit some popular historical monument. It's called the Arc de Triomphe. And we are also going to take a look at their luxury streets over there, called the Champs-Élysées. So let's go! That is the Arc de Triomphe. I hope I pronounced that right this time around. And it's actually located really far from where we came from. We literally walked for an hour to get here. So yeah, it's to burn off the calories that we just consumed. This arc is constructed in 1806 and only completed in I think 1836, so it took 30 years, and it is built to honor those who have sacrificed during the Napoleonic and French Revolutionary Wars. Now you're probably wondering, how do we get across to the other side when the arc is perpetually surrounded by this roundabout of non-stop cars? But don't worry, let me bring you there. Alright, first you look for this tunnel over here and we're gonna head down these stairs. Walk right through this tunnel. Up this flight of stairs. And voila! Arc de Triomphe, supersized. Just look at the magnificence of this building. You gotta come through the tunnel, and when you're standing right under these arches where you can really see the magnificence of this monument, how the sculptures on the walls look, and the names of the victories and the generals are inscribed on the inner and outer walls. And underneath this monument is the tomb of the unknown soldier in World War I. And it's right over here. As you can see, there's this torch that's going on. That is the eternal flame. It has apparently never been extinguished before. I think that's why it's called the eternal flame. So every day at 6:30 PM they will reignite the flame. Therefore it's lit perpetually. Of course, I think aside from just visiting the outsides, you can actually pay an entrance fee and ascend up to the top. But we're not going to do that today. And I think that's it for a really quick tour of this particular arch. Definitely well worth it. You should come and visit. And now we're going to head over there to the luxury streets. Ooh. Alright, that's enough window shopping. We're going to grab some snacks now. We're going to get macarons from two very popular spots. One is called La Durée. I think the other ones who popularized the Parisian macaron. And the other is called Pierre Hermé. I hope I pronounced both of them right. Anyway, let's head to La Durée first.
Go! Merci, thank you.
Got the macarons. Let's head to the other shop now. Okay, we are not seated in either of the macaron shops. We are actually seated in a chain stop called Brioche Dorée, and the coffee is so-so. Okay, let us start trying out some of the macarons. We got a few macarons for La Durée, and I'm going to try the signature, which I think is the chocolate hazelnut with lime or lemon. For those of you who do not know, macaron is basically a meringue-based cookie with added almond flour and sugar and some fruit colouring, and it sandwiches a filling in between. We have La Durée in Malaysia as well, but funny enough, we have not had it there. So this is actually my first time trying La Durée's macaron. Let's go. Very good texture. Starts off with a slight crunch, that slight resistance to crispiness on the surface. Then inside, you hit that chewiness. The sweetness comes in first, and then you get a little bit of that chocolate flavor. Oh, and it does end with a little bit of nuttiness. I believe that is the hazelnut. Not much of that lemon flavor though, but it's really one of the better macarons that I've tried, for sure.
I'm going to try the Pierre Hermé. Oops. Okay. Wow, they look very nice and the box also very beautiful. For me, I will try the mango, which recommended by the staff. The surface is crispy, but the inside is not firm as laduri. It's feel empty, and the mango filling is tastes like a mango candy, and it also have some sourness. I'm not sure the sourness is from the mango or from lemon.
The texture is lighter than laduri. I think it's down to personal preference. Laduri is like more dense and more firm. I quite like the flavor of this one though. It's got a moderate sweetness and it almost feels more delicate in a way. Alright, that's it for our macaron adventure. We're not going to eat all the macaron because we've got another spot to go to for desserts and the sky is turning dark. So let's start our journey now. Okay guys, we have lost complete sunlight. We're actually heading to this other patisserie, which is in Quest Pastry Homework, also recommended by one of our Parisian friends, Healy. It's called Sihil Lignac. Hope I pronounced it right. Anyway, they are closing at 7:30 and we really need to rush there. Hopefully they are not closed yet so that we can get to savor their delicious desserts. Okay guys, we've got some good news and some bad news. So the good news is they're still open and we managed to grab some desserts. The bad news is, okay, let me put it this way. First off, you see that black cake with the red dots on top. That is the signature cake. And unfortunately, they have ran out of the individual ones. They only have one large one left, which is for 6 persons. So we gotta get their other one, which is like a complete reverse of the Equinox. It's in white color. It's called the Pecan Caramel Vanilla Tart. It looks probably not as beautiful as the Equinox, but it looks pretty good. So anyway, let me quickly grab this and try it out, and it is the vanilla flavor is so present, and the top is the vanilla. It's sort of like a firmer whipped cream with vanilla flavor, and then the bottom is like a hard biscuit tart base. You could taste the toastiness of the biscuit. They've got sort of like a sponge cake in the middle with some form of filling as well. I'm not too sure where the filling is. The middle is probably some sort of a mixture of chocolate and maybe some caramel. I could taste the pecan nuts, the nuttiness in the middle. The vanilla is really a very good contrast to the heavier flavors of the bottom. The toastiness, that pecan's flavor, and that bitterness and a bit of sweetness from that caramel and chocolate mix. The vanilla pulls all of that back and holds all of the flavors in place, playing a very good balance. The texture is just so nice because there's so much crunchiness at the bottom, and that cream is just enough to balance out all that hard textures.
This is royal chocolate. Basically, it's a whole thing. It's a dark chocolate in different form and texture. Let's try. Wow. Basically, it's chocolate. There's a chocolate mousse and some chocolate biscuit crispiness. It's like bathing in a chocolate river. Very satisfying.
Alright guys, originally we were only planning to eat 2 desserts, but I saw a baba au ram and I'm craving Storay's baba au ram, so I got this, and this comes with chantilly cream on top. For those of you who do not know, baba au ram is basically, I think it's a yeast raisin cake that is soaked in rum, and then you glaze it with apricot jam, and on top you can decide whether you want to put chantilly cream or not, in which in this case they did. Oh, this one is really soaked well, it's so soft. The cream is filled to the bottom. Let's go. soft, fully soaked in rum. As you bite in, the flavor hits, but surprisingly this one, the sweetness hits first. You could definitely taste the apricot jam on the outside, and then the sweetness within hits. In a way, to me, it's a little bit disappointing because the rum flavor is a little bit mild. It's really soaky. It's like really wet inside. Yeah, definitely. I think it needs more present rum flavor. If not, it feels overly sweet. You need that bitterness to pull back on the sweetness, and in this case, they are definitely too sweet. Personally, I prefer Star. But there you go, Babao rum. Playtime! Okay guys, apologize for the slightly awkward positioning here because we are still finishing up with the desserts, and I felt that we should start off with the playtime segment. So first place, Miam Miam. Absolutely delicious sandwiches. Okay, I need to clarify something here because I saw on Google review, it's pretty divisive. Let's put it this way, I think the sandwiches that Chef Alan makes is a street style sandwich, huge loaf of puffy bread, and you just toss all the fresh ingredients in it, and it's filled to the brim, and you toast it. It's really drippy, oily, and very messy to eat.
Yeah.
But if you eat it hot, just as it's out of that toaster, it doesn't feel heavy. You could taste all the ingredients flavors. I think that is the key point of his sandwiches. Every single ingredient retains its natural flavor. And as I mentioned, this sandwich is not a sandwich where you will get to taste all the flavors in one bite for every bite throughout the sandwich, because that is impossible. It's virtually impossible. What you're gonna get is like pockets of flavor. Sometimes you get everything in one go, and that will be amazing. Sometimes you get maybe the ham is saltier, and then you will have to put the effort to balance it out by maybe biting a little bit out of the bread or picking up the onions, and that makes it very fun to eat, at least for us. Right. And with that being said, Chef Alan Miam Miam scores a half a plate on the gourmet plate, which means it is some high quality sandwich right there.
Miam miam.
Miam miam. Of course, this is merely our opinion and also a very specific encounter on this very specific sandwich today. Do look at it more as a guide to hopefully help you in your future food hunt.
And the second, macaron from Ladurée and Pierre Hermé. We are not going to rate this spot.
Yeah, because I think it feels a little bit weird to rate them just based on one macaron each that we have had. I think it's not very fair lah. So we will leave our thoughts here with you. If you have not tried macaron before, both of them are good spots to try. They have slightly different textures. Flavors are pretty similar aside from the filling, of course. So yeah, do try them out. Now, the last spot, which is this spot, really high quality dessert. Very good ingredients, rich flavors, pretty well balanced too. Out of the three, probably my favorite is the pecan. Yeah, the vanilla pecan tart, caramel tart. Yeah. What about you?
I will pick two.
Oh, really?
Together with the royal chocolate, because I like chocolate.
Yeah, I think the weakest link is definitely the Babao rum. But that vanilla pecan caramel is really good. I strongly recommend you guys try it. And the chocolate is really rich as well. If you love chocolate, you love rich flavors and bitter flavors, definitely try it out. Yeah, it's unfortunate we didn't get to try the Equinox. But just based on this that we have tried, I would say it's really again another very good dessert shop. And with that being said, it scores a half plate on the gourmet plate, which means again it is some high quality pastries and cakes right there. And again, as we mentioned, this is merely our personal experience based on a very specific encounter today and on very specific desserts. So hopefully this will serve as some form of guide in your future food hunt. Alright guys, I believe that is it for our food vlog for the day. Hope you enjoyed this food episode, and if you did, do consider giving us a thumbs up. If you're yet to subscribe, do consider subscribing and hit that notification bell button. And also do consider following us on Instagram, because that is where we provide our latest updates of our situation and
daily
stories. Yep. So yeah, see you next week. Bye bye.